Hello and welcome to another episode of the Elite Health and Wellness Show. My name's Clay and I'm the co-owner and founder of Elite Health Online. Today I have a good friend and a guest for us today to talk about his wellness journey, his journey with HRT, peptides, things like that. Chad Bagnell. Chad, good to have you.
Nice to see you this morning, Clay.
So Chad and I go pretty far back. I think we both went to the same, you went to O'Banion as well, right?
Same junior high and high school.
Played ball together there. Of course, Chad having a lot of more height than I do, and he has more size today, for sure. Went on to play college ball, and where'd you play?
North Texas.
North Texas, right?
Yes.
So actually, I didn't realize. I don't think I realized that. So I went to North Texas as well, but we were at different time frames.
Yeah.
So Chad, talk to us. I know you've been an elite health patient now for a while, and you've been a proponent of peptides and HRT. Tell us a little bit about your journey from the standpoint, help the audience understand. Where did you first recognize the need, for HRT therapy, for hormone replacement therapy, that sort of thing?
Yeah, basically it was, I think, a cascade of different various things. But, being a high-level athlete most of my life, like you said, playing Division I athletics, once my athletic career was done, really kind of indulging myself into weight training, because I was a typical basketball player, right? I was 6'5" and 205. But once I was done, I got into weight training, lifting, working out, reading on stuff, doing all that. And it was probably, I would say, to answer your question, it was probably my late 30s. Kind of funny story, not funny story. I had kind of a little bit of an accident on my mountain bike and basically racked the crap out of myself. And they think that kind of altered my production a little bit. But what caused me to get into TRT, HRT was I was going through about a 3 to 4 month time span where I just was super lethargic. I had no energy. I had no sex drive. Things that I typically had a passion for or the desire to want to do, obviously, sexual stuff with my wife at the time, but going to the gym and wanting to work out, going out and playing with my kids, it felt like it was a chore. Like I was just having to try to force and pull myself to do it. And I was like, something's just not right. Fortunately, I think, as we've talked, I've been a little bit ahead of the times in regards to hormone replacement therapy and different things. So I went to my physician at the time, spoke to them. Fortunately, they ran the panels, and I think my testosterone back then came back like 270-ish, which obviously was low. They put me on TRT back then, which was a once a week type of a deal. And obviously within weeks, I was kind of like, whoa. I was like, okay, there it is. Yeah. And so from that point, I have been on TRT or HRT, whatever you want to call it.
That's great that you happen to go to a doctor that recognized that, because a lot of folks we hear the same story all the time. I could just write the book myself, right? But they'll end up on antidepressants, or at least being pushed down that road, or some other deal with it. You're just aging.
Yeah.
So you got very, very lucky that you went to because I'm assuming you kind of went to a primary care doctor. He wasn't an expert at it at the time.
Yeah, and you are correct. Like, I think I was very fortunate in that my primary care at the time, who's no longer in the Rockwell area, he moved. But yeah, he saw that and he recognized the fact that it needed to be more elevated. And it wasn't just this is just part of, the cycle of getting old.
Well, you also got lucky is that you were in a low 200, you're in the 200s.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys will feel the same, but they're, you're 500, you're 600, you're fine. And that, we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, and I'm sure you have educated friends that, the number is not what counts. It's treating the symptoms, not the number, but you got to validate with the number. But you could feel the same and be at 600.
Absolutely. And I know the thing that I've learned and from myself, reading on different things, especially when you're talking about TRT, HRT with testosterone replacement, is that no two people are going to be the same. Right. What may work for you as far as dosage and frequency may not work for me. Case in point is I'm 6'5" and 244 pounds, and I'm still pretty active. I work out and do stuff 5 to 6 days a week. What I need versus maybe what a average guy who's not doing everything I do and is 5'10" and 180 pounds can be
Right.
completely different.
Yeah, your burn rate, how fast you metabolize that medication.
Right,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
exactly.
There's also a receptor site component to it, depending on how old you are. And as you age, we know you lose receptor sites, and that can become part of that factor. So you had your primary care doctor taking care of that for a while. Then you started to get in, I guess this is kind of the typical road for most people. We started to learn more and more about the wellness and anti-aging space. Tell us a little bit more about the journey into other therapies and peptides.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm always one of those, I've always just taken towards the human body, anatomy. I'm in medical device sales, but always trying to, what can I do to further and enhance my own body, my own self? So yes, I was obviously on the testosterone replacement therapy. And I started hearing and seeing some things from this one guy, and it was red light LED therapy. And I could go into hours on that, and got into that, and then it was the cryo stuff before it really became the craze. And what's the benefits of cryo? So then I started kind of looking into other routes, and one of the things that Elite offers, which is great, and which I got into, and I've been using probably for about 2 to 2.5 years now, is peptides. I think they're wonderful.
Right.
There are a lot of them are naturally occurring. It's not a exogenous thing that you're bringing in, like with testosterone, right? So it can complement your body, and they've been wonderful. I preach them to about anyone I can. Matter of fact, my mother, who just had some stomach surgery, thankfully she's doing really well. But the one thing that she's been doing is that she's been taking BPC-157 and TB-500 to help with the healing in the wounds, the suture site. And she went back to her physician for the 1 week follow-up, and he was like, holy smokes. He's like, you're really doing great.
Isn't that crazy? We've had a number of patients that had, partially torn rotator cuff or something that required surgery, and they got on BPC-157, which again is the body protective compound 157 peptide, which is a healer. And they're coming back, and their doctors, they're not telling their doctor that they're taking this for a quick recovery, because they, quite frankly, the surgeons aren't even aware of it.
They don't know.
They don't even know.
Yeah.
But they're aware of it, and so they'll get it, and through someone like us, and then they'll take that, and the doctor's like, I've never seen anyone recover this fast. This is crazy. So that's awesome. So she's doing well on the BPC-157. Is that something you've got experience with as well?
I do. I love BPC-157. I think it's just one of the best overall peptides that you can take, because it does, like you just said, body protection compound. There's so many different things that it can do for your body as far as repairing from injuries, obviously, like we talked about. The one thing that I noticed about it, probably the first thing that I noticed from it, was how it helped out my stomach and my gastric deal. Like,
that's huge.
I had a little bit of some, bloating, different things like that. And my stomach would always kind of flip-flop every once in a while. It'd be fine. And then a few days it'd flip on me. And I'm like, since I've started using the BPC-157, like my stomach issues as well have been the best they've probably been.
It's a great anti-inflammatory as well. And if you're training, you've got, like you said, nagging injuries that, it'll go from my wrist to then my shoulder. I mean, there's always something popping up. So I just stay on it, and it helps with that helps with the anti-inflammatory aspect. But one of the main things that came out here recently that I think is cool is this combination of therapy of testosterone, CJC, which is ipamorelin, which is the growth hormone peptide, and then BPC-157. They worked together. It was a study that came out, and it showed that BPC-157 increased the number of receptor sites for growth hormone, or IGF-1, which makes the CJC more effective. It has a place to bind.
Sure.
Then CJC increased the receptor sites for androgen receptors. So that makes your testosterone more effective.
Even more,
Yeah. So having those three on board, I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better blend. You got your testosterone, you've got your growth hormone, and then you've got your BPC to deal with all the injuries and the repair and the recovery. So that's one of my favorite, treatment plans right now for people, is that combination
kind
of
that
three.
Trio of those.
Have you had any experience with CJC?
Honestly, I've only used it once. So I probably wasn't able to give it a true ride. And
you need to stay on it 4 to 6 months.
Yeah. So But I've heard amazing things from it. And that's the beauty, I think, about peptides is that there are so many, and you can kind of figure out what are some of the issues, concerns that you're having, and what is there peptide-wise that I can take to help make whatever it is I'm trying to do better.
Right.
But I mean, it's like I love testosterone and ipamorelin.
Yep.
I love those. I love the testosterone just because of the visceral fat.
Yep.
Uptake as far as reducing all that and the way that feels. So, yeah, I think
That's what's cool
is,
about Elite Health Online is we allow you to be the CEO of your own health.
Yeah.
And peptides is not something that we have to like have a diagnosis and say, well, specifically, what are we doing here? You can play around and try different things. Well, CJC on paper, all right, is better than Simorelin. Period. End of story. It's got a better half-life.
Yeah.
On paper, the studies would show it's better. However, when we put patients on it, it's interesting. Someone will say, look, I tried CJC for a while. I'd like to switch over and try Simorelin. And then they'll just swear Simorelin works for them. And again, 9 times out of 10, that's probably not going to be the case.
Yeah.
But for that one person that knows their body, and this is how they react to it, select that select that peptide. That's when you look at the menu and the offering that we have at Elite Health Online, that's something that's unique is you have the opportunity to trial different things and figure out what blend works for you, what combination of peptides and therapies, you really get to be the CEO of your own health.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I agree. I think that's one of the great benefits about Elite is, like you just said, you are the driver. You're the CEO of your own health, right? You are, but now you have physicians and other people that can help guide you in the right direction.
Yep.
But yes, to your point, being able to say, okay, hey, I'm interested in wanting to try to get this, or my joints are just hurting, right? Y'all have the options of the different things to be able to help. And okay, if this avenue does not work, okay, well, let's switch to this. Let's see how this works.
Right.
But the thing is being proactive instead of reactive. Right. And that's where I think modern medicine has really failed us as a society. I mean, obviously you worked in healthcare for quite a while. I still work in healthcare. Right. And yeah, there's just a lot of, like you said, a lot of physicians. I'll speak with physicians all day. And
no idea about this.
Yeah, stuff. I mean, the amount of, if you bring up peptides and, or you talk about something and you get that kind of like, what?
Well, that's the biggest hurdle we run into with a lot of folks. I mean, obviously you take a lot of initiative, you study and learn and read, and you want to be in control. But you have people that come and we'll start talking to them about this, that, and the other. And these are things they've been dealing with for a while. And they go, well, why didn't I hear about that from my doctor?
Yeah.
I don't know. Great question. Probably because he hasn't studied anything since his last, round of residency. This is what he knows, and now this is what he or she does. And so that's awesome. I know a lot of folks are probably looking at you and thinking, well, this guy's just got great genetics and all that, but that's not the case. We both know that's not the case.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could speak of how it was when I was younger.
We've been, in the gyms. We know what it's like. That's not the case. We know you work hard. Tell us a little bit about your diet regimen, because this is a component. I'll tell you, most elite patients that come to us, they're already doing some things to take care of their health. They're following a reasonable diet. They're attempting to make the efforts, and it's just not working because they're not adding that final component.
Sure.
But talk to us a little bit about what you're doing today.
Yeah, as far as my diet's concerned I say that everything in moderation, right? Especially at my age. I just turned 48. Obviously, I'm not looking to try to compete, do anything like that. I just want to, I want to, look good. And if I look good, I feel good, right? It's like the whole sports adage. It's like if you look good and you feel good, you're probably going to play good, So for my diet, I've learned for myself over the past years and kind of really starting to kind of be in tune with my body, like what does well and what does not do well. I stay away and very rarely eat fried foods. Yep. Which is tough, being born how we're born, and chicken fried steak, and gosh, love it, but it's not the best for me now, and I'm 48. So I do try to mix it up, from grilled chicken to fish, ground turkey.
So you're keeping the protein up and the carbs down.
Yeah. With the carbs, the one thing I've learned for myself, just reading, listening to podcasts, when I'm driving, is I try to limit my carb intake unless if it's within that 2-hour window. And And when I say a 2-hour window, that's a 2-hour window pre-workout and a 2-hour window post-workout.
Okay.
That's when I will try to take in a majority of my carbs.
Yep.
Like I will basically carb load during that time.
That's smart.
And actually even have some intra working out, right? So I'll have an essential amino acid drink, and I'll put a little bit of some, simple straight carbs in there, just once again, just to keep kind of feeding those muscles during the workout as well.
Right. That's perfect.
Yeah.
What about working out? I know, obviously you're lifting some weights, but a little bit, are you now going with more reps? Or are you kind of mixing it up? Kind of what's your regimen look like today?
Yeah, that's, it's, the ongoing discussion that will never die with men, right? Is,
Do I lift
especially,
heavy?
yeah, especially when it comes to lifting and working out is, what are you doing? And it's always funny because I tell people I've got a son and he's 14 and a freshman in high school. So all of his friends see me and they're all like, how much do you bench?
That's all they want to know. Yeah. I had a guy ask me that the other day. I'm like, this means you don't work out.
Yeah. And I look at him like, I don't know.
I don't know.
And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I can't tell you the last time I maxed out.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm 48.
I can't even tell you the last time I got on a bench press.
Yes.
Don't do it.
And so to your point, I did. So I used to obviously, like a lot of guys, go heavy. And you're trying to push as much as you can, bad form. And it's not a good thing. So now I mix it up. Like right now, I'm on a lifting kind of phase to where I'm doing a lot of higher repetition stuff. Okay. Most of my stuff is 12 to 20 reps, but I'm dropping the weight and I'm really just focusing time under tension, my form, doing all that kind of stuff. A lot of unilateral component movements, doing stuff like that because, like I said, I'm 48. I have no desire to get bigger. Yeah. Put on more size.
Probably not going to anyway.
No, yeah. And I want to feel good. Like I said, I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. If I want to go out and mess around with my son or whatever, I want to be able to do so.
It takes too long to recover from an injury now.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
People ask, do I still play basketball? And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? And to your point, it was probably about 14 years ago. And, I mean, we saw just what happened with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Right.
When you're an athlete, and you played your whole life, and I've talked with orthopedic surgeons about this, with the Achilles and stuff. They're like, it's that rubber band that you just keep stretch, and all it takes is that when you get up in age, that one little deal, and it just pops.
I'm with you.
So my point is I was playing basketball at LA Fitness in Rowlett on a Saturday. We had won our first 2 games. I mean, fully drenched in a sweat and everything. Right. And obviously, I could jump really well, and I'm out on the side, and I saw, like, the whole side, and I went to the guy checking the ball, and I went like that, telling him, like, throw it up.
Right.
And so I took that little jab step, and I immediately turned around because it felt like someone, and I thought I'd tore my Achilles.
Wow.
But fortunately, I did not tear my Achilles, but where your main calf muscle gastroc meets at the soleus, I completely just ripped it right off.
Yeah.
And
set you back for a while, though.
And, I was out for, like, 4 months. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. I'm
Same with me. I mountain biked for cardio and went down to the Rowlett Creek and rode hard and a couple of injuries. And I'm like, nah, I need to stay with what's in the gym.
So, like with your question, I lift weights probably 4 to 5 days a week.
Okay.
And then I try to, for myself, this is what works for me, is I really don't do much cardio during the week. Okay. But if the weather's nice, fortunately down here we're starting to get some decent weather.
Yep.
I've got my gravel bike, and I'll go out, and there's like this little trail out in Farmersville, and I'll go out and ride my gravel bike at a zone 2, steady zone 2, which is your fat burning stage, for your heart rate. And I will go, and I have my heart rate monitor and stuff, and I will just sit in that zone 2, and I'll ride for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yep.
But I don't get out of that.
Yeah.
Because doing so, it helps me not catabolize my muscle and all that kind of stuff, and put me more in a fat burning state.
That's good. That's very typical. I think it's a great regimen. Everyone's got to do what works for them, but moving period is just the key. All right. For sure. And staying with the weights. So you recently had your a follow-up visit here with Elite. So you came back through for a second time. Patients that don't know, you're required to have a visit every 6 months. You can certainly visit with a doctor more frequently. We our 3 uniques that we like to really stay focused on is that we're the most convenient, comprehensive, and progressive clinic anywhere. Tell us a little bit about your experience, how convenient it was to book the appointment, get on the phone with the doctor, have your consultation, and then get your meds delivered.
Yeah, no, it's super convenient, and you're right. That is one of the great things about Elite is the convenience of being able to, get what you need. Have your physician follow-ups. I mean, basically, yes, like you said. I mean,
You had
you'll
your
come
lab
in,
work, and
you
what,
do
2
your lab
days
work?
later?
Yes.
2 days later, you're on the phone.
Yeah, so you go get your lab work every 6 months. You do that. And then, you get the follow-up call from a physician. They're going to go over your lab work with you, say, here's everything's looking good, or, hey, maybe your estrogen is a little bit high. Do we need to put you on some DIM or something like that to kind of pull that back in a little bit? And then, okay, things look good. You're handed off. All right, let's renew your supply of testosterone. And the great thing about it, once again, being proactive and all that is, okay, is there anything else that, is happening in your team? How are things going? But is there anything else that you're interested in?
Right. They're letting you be the CEO of your health, and they're trying to understand what your goals are.
Right.
Not just
right.
treat
Yeah.
the illness. Right.
And then once that's done, is boom, you're done, and
Right.
you pay, and your stuff shows up on your doorstep a few hours later. And that's one of the great things is that you don't have to physically go into an office to do that.
The only thing we hadn't cracked the code yet is how to get your blood out of you without sending it to the lab. If we could figure that out, we'd be in great shape. Unfortunately, you got to
we'd
drive.
be billionaires if you
got to
could figure
drive
that
to a
out.
lab core.
Yeah,
But, if we
yes.
forgot to virtually get your blood. So we thought about delivery to your, like sending a phlebotomist
Like
to your door.
I was going to say,
but
yes.
That's
Home,
extremely pricey.
home extraction services.
Yeah. Yeah, but the cool thing is you can have your visit in your truck. You can have it in the office.
Yeah.
You can be at your kid's soccer game, football game, and take the call over on the sidelines. I mean, it's your call. You can do what you want. And so we try to make it super convenient.
No, it
So,
is. It is.
Well, I appreciate you being on today.
Yes,
Thanks
absolutely.
for sharing with the team. For those of you out there, if you're not yet an elite patient, you haven't had your hormones checked, you're struggling with weight loss, or you're dealing with lack of recovery from your workouts, and you're just not where you need to be, check us out at elitehealthonline.com. You can click on book telehealth appointment if you're ready to get started. If not, you can click on get started, and that's where you can schedule a 15-minute free hormone optimization or weight loss consultation. We'll tell you all about the clinic, what the process looks like, and then how to get booked. Again, you'll never pay for labs. You'll never pay for your visit. All you pay for is your medication. Shipping and supplies are free. So hit us up. We'd love to serve you and let you help you live your best life.